Hello, I'm Adijan Ayandar and welcome to NexTech. I'm here in Kigali in Rwanda to see if this nation of 13 million people can live up to the hype of being dubbed Africa's Silicon Valley. On any typical day in Kigali, the streets are teeming with salaried workers, delivery drivers, and students, all looking to earn from one of Africa's fastest-growing economies. Last year, Rwanda was ranked 4th on the continent when it came to growth, and this year, the World Bank expects its GDP to expand by more than 7%. Its economic boom isn't new either. Government data shows the country has averaged at least 8% growth over the past 20 years. And why is the economy so hot right now? Well, many credit the favorable regulatory environment that not only provides tax breaks and incentives, but also the human capital that is driving innovation. However, the environment was very different 3 decades ago. Colonial favoritism had created deep-rooted ethnic tensions between the Hutu majority and Tutsi minority. The assassination of President Habyarimana triggered mass killings and devastated the country's social fabric. Since then, Rwanda has undergone significant transformation, focusing on national unity, economic development, and perhaps, most importantly, reconciliation. The government has implemented various policies to promote social cohesion aimed at preventing future conflicts. One of the ways was setting up community-based justice systems like the Gacaca courts and Umuganda, national holidays whereby every Rwandan performs nationwide community service in the form of sweeping the streets. This is why the country is arguably one of the cleanest in the world. It's no secret that Rwanda has become synonymous with its most tragic event in history. Back in 1994, April the 7th marked the beginning of the genocide against the Tutsi, where in just under 100 days, nearly 1 million people were killed. The locals here call it Kwibuka, which means to remember, and this year marks the 30th anniversary. Celebrations this year were solemn, but the message was like years past. That the West and even the African Union bore responsibility for failing to stop the mass killings.
What is happening? They're killing everyone. The armory have surrounded the whole town. Come on! Come along!
Those tragic events came alive in a Hollywood Oscar-nominated film back in 2004.
Do not shoot!
But now, Rwandan companies want to explain what happened from their own experience. This is Guez Show, a Rwandan animation and production studio that wants to become one of the country's leading storytellers.
This is the story of 600 RPA soldiers who were trapped behind enemy lines during those negotiations, massively outnumbered and surrounded on all sides.
The 600, the soldier's story, is the dramatic and little-known story of a group of opposition soldiers trapped behind enemy lines at the outset of the genocide against the Tutsi. The company's mission is simple, and it reverberates across many sectors in the country. That is to tell their stories through their experiences. And in this case, their stories through their magic. And their magic was certainly needed when creating an outsider. Meet the cartoon version of Adijan. One of the biggest advances in aviation since the turn of the century has been the
advent and integration of unmanned aircraft or drones into the military.
Hours of work had gone into creating an animated version of me. But rather than marvel at the result, my producer was quick to point out that there was an uncanny resemblance to Homer Simpson. The only thing I can say is that I hope it's only because of the receding hairline. I sat down with the company's chief operating officer, Deogratias Kazintwali, and asked him about the transformation that African animation was going through. Dave, when you think of animation, I don't think African animation has been recognized outside of the continent much up until now, but that's all changing, isn't it?
Yeah, like for the past couple of years, we've been really trying to make a push to get African animation out there. And one key component that has been missing in all the previous animations that came out of the continent was actual work being done by local talent. So we've been really focusing on not only telling our own stories, but also using the talent that's available across the continent to bring it to life.
Africa has a rich history and heritage when it comes to storytelling, but when you look at this particular genre, what you're doing is telling stories through technology.
Well, in today's world, it's very obvious that technology has decentralized all the ability to share stories all across the globe. And we came into the generation where technology was really booming on the continent, and we really saw it as an opportunity for us to utilize that to get ourselves out there, to get our people out there.
You said that one thing, that important piece that was missing up until now was African talent. That is now thriving. I'm wondering what the catalyst was in terms of there being more and more African talent to feed a sector like this. What caused the change?
Throughout the 2010s, the internet really became more available to the masses, and we don't have so many schools right now teaching animation and the developing side of things. However, through the internet, a lot of people have been able to teach themselves, and even if they're not always production ready at the very start, at the very minimum, you get to pick out people who are already interested in it, and then train them, and with enough time, they're all production ready, and I think they're at least able to compete with the likes of Pixar. And right now, not in terms of volume or production capacity, but in terms of quality, we can match it.
There obviously has to be some sort of still challenges that lay ahead in terms of the labor force and the skill level. What are some of the things that you feel that needs to be overcome?
Yeah, it really comes down to the fact that we don't have a lot of schools teaching that, so you only get to find 1 in 100 people who are actually promising enough or really interested enough to get into it. So even when you try to scale up, you can't easily scale to 100 to 200 people that easily. And since all of the training and the work that has to go into it has to come from you.
You mentioned competing with Pixar, which is a company that has won multiple Oscars. Where would you like to see a company like yourself, your company, in 10 years in terms of achievement?
You find that in a team of animators, 9 out of 10, they all grew up watching Dragon Ball, they all grew up watching Shrek and The Incredibles, and that's really what fuels the passion. And because it's something that takes a lot of time to build, but once you have passionate people on the team, they're all willing to do the work, learn, and yeah. One of the things that we were aiming for when we first started the company was telling our own stories. And Pixar itself, they have created their own style, they've created their own pipelines, and they have broken a lot of ground, and it gives us so much leverage to not start over and instead use what they've already brought to the table and then add on our own thing to really bring a different style that in 5 to 10 years, someone will be like, okay, this is work that was done from Rwanda, this is work that was done from Africa. Yeah, we don't only want to be commercially successful, but there's a cultural factor that we really want to capture.
But the transformation in other sectors is happening at a much quicker pace. Rwanda has been heavily promoting the use of different technology-based tools and facilities as it moves to achieve its goal of a cashless economy. The push towards digital has seen a number of service providers, including the public transport sector, embrace electronic payments. It's quick, easy, and it eliminates many of the headaches that cash often carries. I had a chance to talk to Jones Kizihira, the Chief Executive Officer of AC Mobility, about revolutionizing a sector that has traditionally relied on cash transactions.
Jones, tell me how much of a game changer it was in terms of bringing a cashless payment system to a public transport system that was traditionally based on cash transactions.
It was a huge game changer. We saw it being adopted quite fast, actually. We did a pilot in 2015 with one bus company, and 6 months in, the government was on board and they made it policy. So by the time we crossed into the 13th month of operations, it was policy that everyone had to use a tap and go card in order to commute within Kigali. And since then, we're now operating across the entire country with more than 90% market share, and it has become a utility pretty much for both the commuter, the transporter, the regulator, and the different authorities, including the different city councils across the country.
Tell me a little bit more about that, how this is just one puzzle or piece in the puzzle in terms of the country's push for digitalization and fully adopting a cashless economy.
So we are, at the core of it, we're a tech company, but we do payments in public transport, which means, let's put it this way, public transport is at the core of any economic growth. Goods people have to move. Trade has to rely heavily on that particular movement. So when you digitize, you get visibility. When you get visibility, you plan better. And this planning is not just for the transporter in terms of deployment or the commuter in terms of planning for their movements, but also from a policy perspective, hence the support for such products. Also from a financial perspective. Now, today it becomes much easier for anyone in the sector who is working with us to access financing, because the doubt that they may be cooking their books is removed. You can get visibility over the transactions over any given period of time. And we kind of also de-risk it since we're doing all the collections. So from time to time, financiers will come to us and say, we want to finance X partner, but for us to get a certain level of comfort, we would like you to play a role in the recovery process. So it trickles down in all sectors that we touch.
It's very interesting when you talk about some of the plans that you have. You're a company that's almost a decade old. Where do you see yourselves in 10 years' time?
It's a good question. I mean, we have big dreams. One of them being, we want to go beyond the borders of Rwanda. We've experimented in West Africa, but it was more of a learning curve at the time. We jumped too early, and I think we're at the point now where we've learned and have the knowledge and the skill set. So we're in a process of moving across the continent, starting with
You say West Africa, you've dabbled a little bit, you have a little bit of experience in Cameroon. What have you learned from that experience in terms of your growth outside, not only in that region, but in other regions across the continent?
Well, the first lesson we learned is that you can't do copy and paste. You have to customize whatever it is you're taking to fit that region or that, not just from a tech perspective, but from a cultural perspective. Because anything, when people talk about technological transformations, what they're actually saying is that we want you to change the way of you're doing things, which is not a very easy thing to do when it comes to people in general.
Rwanda is often referred to as the land of 1,000 hills. While that does have a dreamy sound to it, from a logistical standpoint, it does present some serious challenges. And with most of the rural roads being single lanes, a short drive outside of the city can easily turn into an hours-long nightmare. One company adopted the motto, "If you can't tackle it by land, take to the skies." Zipline has become the world's largest autonomous delivery system, specializing in on-demand drone delivery and speedy logistics. Founded in California, the company set up operations in Rwanda to test its technology while absorbing the local talent. At one of their delivery centers outside of Kigali, we got to witness this groundbreaking system at work. It all begins with the personnel receiving an urgent delivery order. And in this case, it's blood that's needed for a transfusion. After being carefully packaged, it's placed inside of a box. And then, through the window of the logistics center, the package gets handed over to the operational personnel. The delivery box neatly fits inside of the belly of the drone. And with the closing of the twin doors, the drone is moved over and ready to be fitted with a component that's going to make it airborne, the fixed wings. And finally, the battery is installed. The entire process takes just minutes. Once everything is in place, it's launch time. The launch operator brings the propellers to speed and with a push of a button, catapults the drone onto its delivery course.
The power of Zipline is its ability to reach the most remote areas in amazing time. Imagine you need a blood transfusion and you're located on the top of a village. What would normally take a 6-hour drive could be delivered in under 40 minutes.
Once the package is delivered without loitering, the drone is programmed to head back to the logistics center. Without wheels to land on a runway, the drone needs to be caught mid-air, which sort of resembles the arresting gear on U.S. aircraft carriers. The hook beneath the drone catches the wires, and it's back home safely, ready to begin the process all over again. Pierre Kayitana is the general manager of Zipline Rwanda, and we sat down to talk about how the company has been instrumental in making the future of delivery faster, more sustainable, and create broader access.
It's a beautiful story that Zipline started in Rwanda in 2016, primarily to resolve some of the common challenges with healthcare logistics. The beginning was started with an exclusivity in distributing blood across Rwanda. So basically from our Muhanga center, which is an hour and a half south of Kigali, we built the world's first distribution center for medical products using drones. So the process is a health facility anywhere in Rwanda, even in the remotest locations of Rwanda, can phone Zipline or send a request via different platform of communication. Our fulfillment system will prepare the box with the order, give it to the flight team. They insert it into a drone. They use technology. It's 100% unmanned, software based. So the drone will navigate using GPS with the support of the GPS cell tower network, navigate to the hospital, and on top of the health facility, we just lower the drone to about 30 feet, release the box with a parachute, and the nurse can pick it and proceed with the blood transfusion. So over the past 8 years, we actually expanded far from only doing blood. Blood is now representing about 22% of our requests. We are distributing over 144 different medication. We are very strong in animal health. We are doing animal vaccine. We are doing artificial insemination, where we work with farmers. Farmers can call us wherever they have a plan to do animal vaccination. They give us the location where they will be for the next day. We schedule their order and then ship the vaccine, since it requires some special condition for store.
So it's not only blood, it's prescription medicine, insemination for animals. So you're not only a pioneer in this industry, but you are really revolutionizing the autonomous delivery of what I just mentioned right now through the use of drones. And software has to be a very big part of this.
Yes, from the first step, which is the order from the hospital, we use a software to manage our stock of medication and different medical products. So basically the operator is guided by software up to the detail. Where is the package, shelf number 3, level 1, side number 4, pick the package, how to fold it. If it picks the wrong one, it scans it, it will reject. So the software really dictates the whole process. So it generates a QR code. So what the flight team will do with the box is that if they scan the QR code on the box and scan the QR code on the drone, we call it a zip, the two matches, then the drone knows where it's going. So it's all software based, and the recovery process also is that we fly the drone using a lot of GPS technology that already programmed embedded in the zip. So what happens in the recovery process, we fly the drone into a wire, and the tail is caught as a part of the recovery. So it's precision to the millimeter.
We talked about the software side. When you look at the hardware side, you not only design, manufacture, and you operate all of these autonomous drones. Talk to me about the advantage of being vertically integrated here.
So the idea is this is a novel sort of technology. We are still learning a lot from the first experience in the past 8 years. So we keep improving in terms of, first of all, defying the weather. So we can fly in the rain, in the night, under the sun, under the wind. So we keep finding new ways to really build technologies that are appropriate to all these weather conditions, because we are saving lives. So we fly anytime when someone is in need. So it requires a full team to focus on learning and continuous improvement. So we partner also, we have outsourced a few hardware demands to other more advanced companies that can provide us with specific equipment that we need. But both our center in San Francisco does a lot of technology improvement for all our markets in the world.
When you look at the topography and the geography of Rwanda, it seems like a natural fit for your company. There's a reason why it started here, besides some of the incentives that may have been provided by the government. Obviously, the range of a drone, I mean, I've dabbled with drones in my time. One of the biggest sort of disadvantages or hurdles was actually the number of minutes you could actually stay up in the air. The drones that I flew was about 20 minutes, but you guys can fly more than 100 kilometers, and this is an immense advantage when you consider the topography of the country in terms of getting to hard-to-reach places.
Yes, that's true. Rwanda is a very hilly country. It's also known to be the country called the country of 1,000 hills. Now they add also a country of 1,000 smiles. So you find that there are health facilities everywhere in Rwanda. So we have district hospitals about covering major cases or referral hospitals. Then you have health centers, close to 400 plus. Then you have health posts, much closer to where people stay, live or work from. So the whole healthcare system has been really decentralized. So the distances by road for some of them could be 8 hours drive from Kigali. So in terms of saving lives, Zipline comes very handy because distances that are much longer, 5 hours, 6 hours, we do it in less than 41 minutes.
It's fascinating stuff. Pierre, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
For 3 decades, Rwanda has been trying to shake off the image of its tragic past. This country wants a new label, Africa's Silicon Valley. The tech scene here is geared towards Rwanda's needs, whether it's mobile payments ending the need for cash or animators wanting to tell stories their own way. Conservation efforts and distributing aid have also attracted tech watchers who are feeling bullish about the country's potential. And from the people I've met here, I definitely agree. Well, that's all the time we have here on NexTech. I'm Adijan Ayanda from Kigali in Rwanda. Goodbye for now.